from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Okay, Ms. Fitri, time and screen is yours. Attention guys, so if you want to ask the lecture, you can ask in the chat box with the format name _university _country. Okay, Ms. Fitri, time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Soraya, for the welcoming. And also I would like to welcome to all of you here. Good afternoon, everybody. It is very nice to have a virtual discussion here with all of you. And how is it to have a virtual food before this lecture? I think nothing, just celebrate, yeah. Okay, then I believe that all of you already have your meals for lunch. Once again, I'm so sorry that I have to admit all the participants entering this room, yeah, Soraya.
Yes, Miss.
I have to admit, I'm
It's okay,
the
Miss.
host.
It's okay. It will be handled by me.
Oh,
That's okay. You can continue to share your
I would
lecture.
like to share the screen. Okay. So sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today. First of all, I would like to introduce first myself. Maybe it is, I think it is important to make you know about my little, yeah, about my background. My name is Fitri Rahma Fitria. I'm a lecturer at Resort and Leisure Management Program at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, or in English it's Indonesia University of Education. And I am now also a student at Urban and Regional Planning, a doctoral student at Urban and Regional Planning in Bandung Institute of Technology. The committee already asked me to let me share, yeah, about the subject disaster management for tourism destination. And this afternoon, I would like to share little knowledge about this. Actually, I'm not really expert in this matter, but I think I can share some of my research experience in research regarding disaster management for tourism destination. I think as an introduction, we know that it is undoubtable that we live in an increasingly disaster-prone world. This perception has some foundation, at least to the extent that the number of disasters has in fact increased in recent decades. From this picture, maybe all of you can see that the natural disaster on the rise around the globe. So this is the data from World Economic Forum has shown that from 1980 to 2019, the number of natural disasters are increased. All of the type of disaster, yeah, like hydrological, climatological, meteorological, and geophysical. But another researcher also have another argument that the increase of human toll of disaster is a combination of population growth, population growth, the increase of urbanization, and global economic pressure. And all of this has the cause of the high number of disasters in recent decades. So from this explanation, we can have a little or a small conclusion about what is disaster definition. Then disaster is not only influenced by the number of natural hazard occurrence, but it is also about the social economic condition. And actually, we also know that the powerful of technology has the capacity to generate disaster. This is also one reason why the number of disaster is counted as increase in recent decades. And we believe that we live in an increasingly complex world, and this has contributed to making us more crisis or disaster prone. And the boundary between natural disaster and those induced by human action are becoming blurred, and this element of disaster situation needs to be taken into account in any analysis of such phenomenon. I'm sorry. And no exception, also in tourism field, we also have to understand and research more about the effect of disaster on tourism sector. And I think discussing about disaster in tourism sector, the influence of the impact of disaster on tourism sector is it's really have an actual evidence, yeah, with what we face today with the COVID-19 pandemic. When we see that the COVID-19 pandemic is an unprecedented event that has affected all countries in the world, as the WHO announced that the virus is primarily transmitted between humans, and then human mobilization have been severely restricted. Various countries in Europe, America, Africa, Middle East, Asia, Pacific issued the regional quarantine, lockdown, travel ban, and border closure policy to break the chain of the spread of this COVID-19. And we believe that such restriction strongly affected the tourism sector. So we can see here from the picture that most of the region has negative growth rate for tourist arrival in 2020, which the growth is minus 60% and above. So the impact of crisis on tourism has recorded by previous evidence, which is we know that previous evidence has shown that the impact of crisis or disaster on tourism are always significant. Like in this graph, we can see that in 2003, the SARS has declined the number of tourist arrival until minus 3 million or minus 0.4%. And also in 2009, the global economic crisis has reduced the tourist arrival until 37 million, or about minus 4% from previous rate. And now we can see in 2020, the COVID-19 has the most outbreak impact, which is declining tourist arrival until 440 million, or about 20 and 30% minus from the previous rate. So this is the proof, the phase, the actual condition that disaster give an impact on tourism sector. So before the COVID, we were very confident that tourism is the most leading sector in the world. International tourist arrival grew 5% in 2018 to reach the 1.4 billion mark. At the same time, export earnings generated by tourism have grown to 1.7 trillion US dollars. And this makes the sector a true global force for economic growth and development, driving the creation of more and better jobs and serving as catalyst for innovation and entrepreneurship. And tourism also helping build better lives for millions of individuals, transforming whole communities. So in short, we can say that tourism is a complex system because it's have a multi-dimension impact to all sectors outside the tourism itself. So we can say also that because of its complexity, then tourism become one of the sectors that most affected by disaster, especially this COVID-19 pandemic. So this explanation just to give you an understanding that the more complex the system, the more vulnerable to disaster. So all of the previous material give us an understanding how important disaster preparation in tourism destination, especially when we are talking about marine, about nature and marine destination, which is prone to natural disaster occurrence. So then our discussion for today will be more focused on disaster preparedness in tourism destination, which is consists of three sub-subjects. I said here a sub-subject. First, we will talking about understanding disaster and risk in tourism sector. And the second is component of disaster management in tourism destination. I think this is also very important for us to understand about what kind of component to organize disaster preparedness management in tourism destination. And then the last or the third, I will share to you the model of disaster management, which is a case study that I have done in my research in Pangandaran also, the one that Soraya has shared to you about the location of UNPAD campus in Pangandaran. The first about understanding disaster risk in tourism destination. I believe that all of you here already know about some terminology about disaster, but I think we have to recollection again about this to make the same understanding when we are talking more about disaster management. First, it is about the terminology of hazard. Hazard is a dangerous phenomenon, substance, human activity or condition that may cause loss of life, injury or other health impact, property damage, loss of livelihood and services, social and economic disruption or environmental damage. So hazard is something that embedded in the physical environment, which is have a potential to have a disaster. It's not occurrence, but it's just a potential to have a disaster. So hazard could be a disaster if there are some victims and spoilage. And hazard has a potential for disaster, but not all hazard will cause disaster. The exposure of when we are try to relate this terminology to tourism sector, then we can say that the exposure of tourism to natural disasters is linked with the attractiveness of many high-risk exotic locations, where events such as hurricanes, avalanches, and volcanic activity are common. So this is something that actually we face this phenomenon, which is nowadays the natural tourism trend of natural tourism is increased. Then tourists are come to a more prone and unique and also prone destination, prone to disaster destination. And these are the type of disaster. There are two types of disaster. First is about natural hazard, and the second one is the man-made disaster. Natural hazard is mean that something that come from the physical environment, like a geophysical, like earthquake, mass movement, a volcanic, and then hydrological, like flood, landslide, wave action, and then also meteorological hazard, like storm, extreme temperature and fog, and then also climatological, like drought, glacial lake, and wildfire, and biological hazard, animal accident, epidemic or pandemic, like now in COVID, and insect infestation. and also extraterrestrial like impact and shear weather. And another type of hazard is about man-made disaster. Man-made disaster can include hazardous material spills, fires, groundwater, contamination, transportation accident, for example, structure failures, mining accidents, explosions, and act of terrorism. So man-made disaster is regarded with human error or failure. And most of tourism destinations are prone to both natural and man-made hazard. And the second terminology is about the vulnerability. Vulnerability is something that also very important terminology when we are talking about disaster management. Vulnerability is the characteristic and circumstances of community, system, or asset that make it susceptible to the damaging effect of hazards. Example of vulnerability is something like poverty, environmental degradation, and hazardous living condition, or poor governance and lack of preparedness to hazard event, and also social inequality, marginalization, and low coping capacity. And theoretically, type of vulnerability is consists of four type, which is physical, like the strength of building and structure from disaster impedance, social, like social demographic condition, gender, age, a community with the most women, for example, or old people is more vulnerable than others. Yeah. So when a disaster comes, it is quite hard to evacuate all women or infant, for example, if the composition in the community is dominant. Age also, like old people, health, resident behavior, all of them are a social factor that will influence the vulnerability of a community to respond to disaster impedance. And the third is about the economic, like community financial ability in response to disaster impedance, also one of the vulnerability. And the last is environment, level of resources, scarcity, like resources scarcity, I mean, water, land, fresh air, and evidence of environmental damage. Okay. When we are talking about the vulnerability in the context of tourism sector, I think we have to bring this concept into the tourism environment. I use here the concept of labor in 1979, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. He delivered about the concept of tourism system. Labor said that tourism system contain of four important components. First is traveler generating region. The second is tourist destination region. The fourth is the transit road region as a result of the mobility from this origin into the destination. And the last is about the environment. So from these four components, we try to relate it with the context of vulnerability. Then in traveler generating region, there is a demand side. Demand side is consisting of tourism market and their characteristic. So there is a tourist generating region here, and we can see there are also some kind like their characteristic, yeah, like social demography, motivation, perception, something that we have to learn more because they are going to come to a destination which is prone to disaster. And the tourist destination region is a supply side. consisting of tourism, the tourist industry, like transport, attraction, service, information, which is combined to form a tourism destination area. So when we are talking about disaster management, we cannot only thinking about the destination, but we also have to consider the impact of tourists who come to the destination. And in the origin destination side, there is the interdependence of generating and receiving destination and transit destination on road. From travel mobility, there will be some impact as a cause of demand supply activities such as transport, attraction, service, information, which is combined to form destination. And this is the tourism impact side, which is as the environment component, whereby the consequences of tourism have either direct or indirect positive and negative impact upon destination area or tourism themselves. So when we see here tourism as a system, we can see that there are many components that influence the development of tourism. That is why when a disaster occurs in a destination, the impact is not only happen to the area within the destination, but it also will give impact to the transit road region, to the environment, and also the traveler generating region. And tourism nowadays, before the COVID, we're talking about the condition of tourism before the COVID become the fastest growth market and have a multiplier impact. And we also know that there is a shift in tourist motivation, which is nowadays most of the tourists are millennial, and they are trying to find a new and unusual experience. So this is also give another impact here to disaster management. And also massive development in nature destination, which is more closer to hazardous landscape. And this the characteristic of tourism create an integrated and open system, which is impacted by external factor, making it vulnerable to crisis and disaster. And tourists themselves are often more vulnerable than locals in disaster situation, because they are less familiar with local hazard and the resources that can be relied on to avoid risk. And tourists also less independent. That is why it is important to increase tourist capacity on disaster response. So the problem is more complex when tourists come with no or little knowledge about the proneness of the destination. So the third terminology is about the capacity. Capacity is individual or community strength and potential to cope and decrease the impact of the disaster and fast recovery from disaster occurrence. So this is something if previous slides have shown to us that vulnerability is something that could increase the disaster risk level, but capacity is something that could decrease the disaster risk level, because capacity is community strength and potential to cope and decrease the impact of the disaster. So capacity is something that can manage by the management or by the organization or by the organization to increase the disaster risk. So the example of the capacity is I give you an example about the local wisdom of Kampung Naga in West Java, Indonesia. Local wisdom or regulation is something that relate with capacity. The country with a good and efficient regulation, for example, will have a higher capacity to cope and respond after the disaster happened. Also the local wisdom, yeah. Now, here I give you an example about local wisdom that embedded in Kampung Naga, the local and traditional village in Indonesia. This is maybe I should sorry. Yeah, this is about the traditional houses of Kampung Naga, which is less prone to earthquake. Yeah. In the 2009 earthquake, Kampung Naga has shown that their architectural structure of traditional houses can show to us that how strong their structural or construction to the earthquake. So this is about the why they have this local wisdom. For example, the walls of the houses are made from bamboo and are widely used in traditional Sundanese houses. And this type of wall is very light and safe during an earthquake when compared to brick wall. And then also the roofing. Dried palm, the roof made from dried palm fiber and tepus leaves. The load from the building structure is lighter than the roof made of tile. And when the earthquake occurred, the load of the roof doesn't endanger the people living in the house. And also about the structure, they use wood and bamboo structure. The structure materials are obtained from the local community plantation. Therefore, the dimension of wood and bamboo is adjustable to meet the requirement of each house. And this type of material are flexible and have high durability. And this is the benefit of house pedestal or the construction. I mean, the baseline, the base structure. First, maintaining proper humidity, since this village is laid down in tropical area. So this is a fresh air movement, which is very nice to give fresh air to the people in the house. And termites resistance, and also the foundation is flexible and it has ability to absorb thermos. And another thing is about the stone formation, which is as a basic foundation of the house. This stone formation strengthens the dirt interlocking. Massive river stone are placed in level and are being used as the dirt adhesive to prevent landslide. So this is the condition, yeah, when a 7.3 Richter scale earthquake occurred in Tasikmalaya in 2009. Houses of local residents in Naga village remain intact without any damage. This is the traditional houses of Naga village, and this is the regular houses outside Naga, which is have a big impact about this earthquake. And the fourth terminology is about disaster. Disaster is a serious disruption of the functioning of a community or a society, causing widespread human, material, economic, or environmental losses, which exceed the ability of the affected community to cope using its own resources. So disasters are often external and more unpredictable. This is maybe the difference between disaster and crisis. Yeah. Crisis is more internal from the organization, and sometimes crisis can already being planned, and the organization already have already have a plan to recover or to minimize the impact of the crisis. But disasters are often external and more unpredictable. That is why the damage or the impact is quite high when we compare to crisis. A disaster can be described as unpredictable catastrophic change that can normally only be responded to after the event, either by deploying contingency plan already in place or through reactive response. And the last is about the disaster risk. Disaster risk is the potential disaster losses in lives, asset, livelihood, which could occur to particular community or society over some specified future time period. And risk is the function of hazard, vulnerability, and capacity. And disaster risk reduction involves working through different phases of following and prior to a disaster event to reduce risk and increase preparedness. So this is the picture to summary all the terminology that we already discussed before. That disaster risk is a function of hazard, vulnerability, and capacity. So hazard is something embedded in the environment, which is hard to modify. It is hard to modify the hazard. So hazard is something that we have to identify and avoid if we can avoid. Yeah. And this is something that also important is about the vulnerability and capacity. Vulnerability and capacity is something that can be managed by the management or the organization. We can decrease the vulnerability and we can increase the capacity, so then the disaster risk will be minimum. So the second subject that we are going to discuss is about the component of disaster risk management in tourism destination. As we already, as I already mentioned before, that this is also a very important part to understand, which is give us an understanding how to manage a disaster preparedness management. Sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, this is the previous picture here about the terminology of disaster risk, which is a function of hazard, vulnerability, and capacity. And I will bring it to you to the context of tourism destination. And when we already discussed before that the disaster risk is influenced by the hazard. Hazard is content of natural landscape. For example of hazard is natural landscape and also social political conflict. And when we are talking about the tourism, beautiful and unique landscape also have their own hazard. And the most attractive object also sometimes, yeah, sometimes the most attractive object also the most hazardous object. And social political conflict, for example, like social and political, some kind like terrorism, insurgent groups, example of social hazard that potential also for disaster. And the second one is about the vulnerability, component of vulnerability, like poverty, social demographic composition. For example, the low level economy can increase the level of disaster risk as they lack of resources to cope after disaster. And also the improper building construction, for example, it is also a part of vulnerability. And improper building construction can higher the risk of disaster evidence. Some of victims in earthquake disaster were those who crushed by building ruins. So the death is not because of the earthquake itself, but it is because of they are crushed by building ruins. And about the capacity is something like regional or national institution. An effective and efficient regulation is one of the example of capacity. And also the local wisdom, as I already mentioned before in Kampung Naga. Proper disaster preparedness regulation will increase the community's capacity to recover after disaster. And this is also an example of local wisdom as a component to increase community resilience. And when we are talking about tourism destination, the component is not only those things, but we also have an added component, which is come as a result of a mobility of some tourists to a destination. So when we are talking about disaster risk in tourism destination, there are another component which is come from the tourism massive development, for example. So the development of hotels, restaurant, and other physical building to support tourism development can increase also the potential of risk. And population migration, that we cannot deny that labor migration frequently happen in the process of tourism development. The need of high skilled labor could not provided only by the local community. And this, the impact of this migration is the increase of population density and become more vulnerable to disaster. And the last also, not the last, the next is about the tourism awareness and behavior, like risk perception, for example. In social science, there are theory that consumers do not always calculate risk probability or expected outcome in the manner of statistician. They seem to see the subjective phenomenon as they see nothing bad happen in previous years. So this is about the real risk. Yeah. Sometimes in many journal article they say about the bias in perceived risk. So this is about the phase of disaster management. Actually, there are 4 phases of disaster management that we have to understand. The disaster management cycle comprises of 4 categories. And we can start with the event, which is the event is something that relate to the as soon as a disaster hit. Yeah. This is the stage of the emergency, and response needs to be immediate, focusing on saving lives, include the reaction to warning and emergency action. And the second phase is the recovery. The recovery is the process of recovery where restoration and reconstruction take place. So after the disaster occurrence, and then the shock is the response 1, and the recovery is the phase after the response. Sometimes longer term activity to return an area back to normality after devastation. So recovery also give more time to back to the normal. And the third phase is about the mitigation. Mitigation is something like a preparation. Yeah. So the third phase is one of the stage, which is prepare the community or prepare the region in case if the disaster happen in the future. And this mitigation decreasing vulnerability and building the capacity. Or we can say also the mitigation as the pre-disaster planning, where land use planning coupled with the creation and dissemination of evacuation plans or construction of defensive engineering works to reduce the natural hazard. So in mitigation, the focus of the program is more on structural construction, which is related to any physical construction to reduce or avoid possible impact of hazard. And the fourth phase is the preparation, which is also very important, so that if there is another disaster, plans are in place to reduce the impact of the disaster. This places emphasis on prevention by reducing vulnerability. Preparation of emergency warning and the degree of alertness of officials to implement an evacuation plan. So in preparation stage, this is more non-structural structural program, which is related to how to increase the knowledge of local or of the local resident, for example, and develop a policy or regulation, laws, public awareness rising, and training and education for disaster prevention and preparedness. So, sorry. For the all of these four stage is very important to understand about the disaster management cycle. And unfortunately, that this preparation phase is something that less consideration from organization or institution, like both for both, yeah, government and private. And also this preparation phase consists of many factors and complex system, and also a threat, yeah, of collaboration process, because to develop efficient disaster management, disaster preparedness management, we have to have a good collaboration among stakeholders. So because of these weaknesses, then our discussion, our next discussion will be more focused on disaster preparedness management, or we can short it as DPM. Oops, sorry. Yeah, this is about the preparedness of disaster management. Effect of natural and man-made disaster can have on tourism. Few tourism organizations at the enterprises or destination levels have properly developed disaster strategy as an integral part of their business plan. But even though some of them already have a plan for disaster management, but sometimes this is only done by a big organization. And even though it's already done, there are also some problem of preparedness in the tourism context, actually. First is about the informal or undocumented strategy in place, and strategies in place. And this strategy address only one type of disaster, of hazard. And the second, about the larger firms tend to be more prepared than the many smaller establishments. And the last is about in tourism context, the impact of disaster on the market are exaggeration by the media. So the effectiveness with which the tourism industry in a disaster area handle a crisis has a bearing on how quickly services are restored to normal. So this is about the framework for disaster preparedness model. I use the concept of Faulkner is one of the outstanding researcher regarding the disaster management. Faulkner has mentioned that there are elements of disaster management responses. Things that we have to prepare in disaster management is appoint a disaster management team, which is consists of leader and the and the organization and the participant in the organization, and we have to establish the DMT and identify relevant public or private sector agency organization. So here is the place where we have to identify stakeholders of which is included in the disaster management program. And the third is about the established coordination and consultative framework and communication system. This is also some of the problem in building a disaster preparedness management is on the communication system. The networking and the inefficient communication between stakeholders sometimes become the main problem that the DMT is not running very well. And the fourth is about develop the document and communicate disaster management strategy. So this is developing the strategy for the MT. And the last is about the agreement on the commitment to activation protocol. I think this is also very important, the agreement to commit to activate the protocol, because sometimes the process of disaster management is only stop or finish in a document or communicate the management strategy. And when we come to the implementation, it is sometimes never done well. So we are seems like satisfied to have only a documented strategy. So Faulkner also mentioned that there are also principal ingredients of the disaster management strategy, that in DMT the organization has to assess the potential disaster and their probability of occurrence. And the second also have to develop a scenario on the genesis and impact of potential disaster. And the last is develop disaster contingency plan. And we come to the last subject, which is the model of disaster management. This is a case study that I have done in my research in Pangandaran Marine Destination in West Java, Indonesia. Actually, this research already been published in Worldwide Hospitality and Tourism Times. And the title is Disaster Management in Indonesian Tourist Destination, How Institutional Rules and Community Resilience Are Mediated. Actually, this title arises since we know that the preparedness phase is phase that quite have many problems on it. And one of the problem in preparedness disaster preparedness management is about how to make an efficient collaboration among stakeholders, which is, we know that stakeholder in tourism sector quite complex compared to another sector. So the background of this research is the low level of community resilience to natural disaster in tourism destination is considered as a vital issue to be studied for 3 reasons. First is because of the potential of large number of victims. The second is about the complexity of tourist areas and the fatalistic views on disaster. Building disaster resilience is essential because disaster could happen at unexpected times, and the post-disaster conditions are often very apprehensive. Thus, the community must be able to adapt to such conditions, such as low responsibility, lack of funding, minimum knowledge, and low on-risk perception can cause a reduced level of disaster management in a tourist destination. In some studies, a collaborative approach that was initiated in some studies, a collaborative approach was initiated by the local. But there are also debate in collaborative process in disaster preparedness management, which is some studies said that a collaborative approach has to be initiated by the local. So the collaborative process will be very efficient if initiated by the local. It could strengthen the community resilience. But another researcher also mentioned that relying too much on community initiative can hamper the process of disaster management. So here, some type of community, they need an initiator who actively stimulate their participation and involvement. So from this debate, we come to the gap that there is a need for more empirical implication to understand the threat of collaboration process in building the disaster preparedness management. So the aims of this paper is first to analyze the causal factor of the defective collaborative process of disaster management in tourist destination. And second is to analyze the role of local government in institutionalizing the DPM in the particular tourism destination. So the location of the study was conducted in Pangandaran Beach as one of the tourists' most preferred beach, especially for domestic tourists. And the location of the beach is in between the subduction of the Indo-Australian oceanic plate and the Eurasian continental, which means that the area is very prone to earthquake and tsunami. The collision of the two plates is continued to this day, thus the earthquake and tsunami can occur at any time soon. This region was exposed to a tsunami in 2006, and there took about 668 lives. Since the region has a population of 400,000 more people and an average number of 1.8 million tourists, so then the risk level of the disaster is increasingly high. Despite the high intensity and threat of natural disaster, the level of community preparedness toward natural disaster is still standing as a major problem. Even though since 2008, the government has established a special disaster preparedness planning and management agency, but the level of natural crisis preparedness is still alarming. Hence, in empirical perspective, the number of victims show that the collaborative process of disaster management has not been conducted effectively. And this is become one of the reasons why we try to research in this topic. And consequently, the region must have a proper community resilience as a part of their disaster preparedness system. So now we come to the result. First, we try to identify stakeholders of disaster management in tourist destination. In this study area, we found that there are 6 stakeholders, which are government, community-based organization, disaster response community. This is the local community which have a focus in disaster response. Is some kind a local community one, and the educational institution, the formal education institution, and then the 5th is tourism industry like hotel and restaurant, and the tourist itself, which is domestic and international. There are 6 stakeholders who have to cope in a good manner collaboration to build disaster preparedness management. And we also try to analyze about the stakeholders' vulnerability, as we know that a vulnerability is something that can manage by the management or the organization. So we try to use the indicator of vulnerability by the UNESCO, which is there are 5 indicator of vulnerability. First is about the knowledge and attitude toward disaster risk. The second is policy and guidelines. The third, plans for disaster emergency. 4 is disaster warning system, and the last is the ability to mobilize resources. And for these 6 stakeholders, we can mapping here that the most of the stakeholders have a good knowledge about disaster risk in Pangandaran Regency. So local community, industry, government, educational institution, and CBO, yeah, the local community which is focused on disaster management, have a high knowledge about and good attitude about disaster risk. But the tourists is the ones who have only an intermediate knowledge, as we know that they are not very engaged to the location. So most of them are having little knowledge about the destination that they are going to visit. And the second one about the policy and guidelines, only government, education institution, and CBO who understand well about the policy and guidelines in disaster management. Local community and industry have not fully understand about this, especially the tourists. They do not know about this. They come to having fun, to refresh their mind, something like that. So they do not consider more on policy and guidelines regarding disaster risk. The third is about plans for disaster emergency. We can see here that government understand very well about this, because they made this, or they built this plan, and most of the other stakeholder doesn't understand about the plan, especially the tourists. Yeah. So the one who knows well is government, and also the community based organization, the local one, which is focused on disaster. That is why they try to search or find the information. And about the disaster warning system, all of the stakeholder, most of the stakeholder understand well about this, but the tourist doesn't understand. And the last, about the ability to mobilize resources, only government who have enough mobility. It is very important when we are talking about the response stage, yeah, after the disaster occurrence, and also the recovery stage. So only government who have ability to mobilize resources include funding, and the other one is has a low understanding about this, low capacity about our ability to mobilize resources. So from here we can see that tourist is the most vulnerable, because from all of the 5 indicator, they have a low level of understanding. And this is about the stakeholder coordination in the disaster preparedness institution in the actual condition in Pangandaran Regency, which is the government is the center of decision making in DPM, and formal disaster institution has less coordination. This is the formal institution, has less coordination with other stakeholders, and only focus on response and recovery program. Actually, they have a good program, but only on response and recovery program. They focus only on that. About the preparedness mitigation is something that not in their focus consideration. And the local organization, the local community, the CBO, assist the government in maintaining and increasing community preparedness. So this stakeholder is very important in mediating the communication between the formal organization into the community. And the tourists only got information about disaster management from tourism industry as they stay in a hotel. So in the information only got from the tourism industry. So tourists become the most vulnerable component. So the effectiveness of a stakeholder in collaboration, we also analyze about this. And we can see that based on the interview result on the community resilience and the stakeholder, all components of stakeholder understand about the risk of disaster and the existing early warning system. And the community has a reasonably significant role and proper preparedness, even though structurally the community is an agency that is not explicitly come under the disaster mitigation institution. And the role of government, which should be the coordinator who build network and coordination, doesn't run optimally because of the institutional design doesn't adequate accommodate the external component. So this is about how effective the collaboration that has been built by all of the stakeholders in Pangandaran Regency. And also the local agency, the local disaster agency tends to focus their operation on what happened during and after a disaster. There are lack of intensive approach in developing disaster mitigation and preparation, which is actually what the local community needs and can strengthen the community resilience to disaster. So the finding in this paper show that the regional development has disconnect the network because the local disaster agency replaces the local agency for disaster management structure that should be established in every city. So the new finding in this research is about the role of formal education, and the CBO are essential in mediating the government and with the community. These two agencies can assist disaster management institutions by facilitating the process of implementing strategies, compiling programs, and maximizing the resources like financing, incentives, regulation, and other, so that all stakeholders can contribute coherently. And the second one is about in disaster management, network and communication are the component that must be constructed by involving the social capital. Thus, this disaster management become a root culture and produce the ideal community resilience toward disaster. And the last, we found that networking must be formed through the initiation of external elements. So in the beginning, I already mentioned that there are two argument, which is said that the collaboration process can only run effectively if the initiation come from the local people or local resident. But in this case, we stand with another argument that networking must be formed through the initiation of external elements, which are then built into institutional system root in society. And this is also given important contribution that involving public bodies and CBO in the formal decision making is quite influential. And we also found that this finding illustrate that there are considerable obstacles in the collaboration process and knowledge inequality between stakeholders due to the complexity of the communication flow. And each component in the institutional structure is working in their separate way according to their action plans. So there is no good coordination among stakeholders. And the study has indicated that the government has not been able to transfer the knowledge to both society and industry, then the centralized information as the main structure of disaster management institution is of the essence. The centralization can assist the coordination process, both in preparedness stage and in the response and recovery stage. And also the collaboration process in disaster management will also be more substantial when information and knowledge about disaster are understood equally by every stakeholder. So according to our finding, then we propose an institutional collaboration model for disaster preparedness management, which is the proposed model describe a collaborative institutional model in disaster management by putting the national agency's role as the central coordination. So we put the national agency role as the central coordinator. And in this disaster management model, network and communication are the component that must be constructed by involving the social capital. So we form a mediator here, which is formal education and community-based organization, which have a function to educate and nurture the community. They have a communication to the tourism industry and to the local community. And then in this model, we also put the tourists in the last component in the structure, but they will get information from the CBO, the tourism industry, and the local community. So because of tourists is the most vulnerable ones, then they have to be placed in the center of subject as information receiver. So as a conclusion, the government has a central role in building sustainable disaster management and information system. And this system could stimulate the social capital formation of community resilience. Second, officially, organizations have the most substantial capability in mitigating a disaster due to their knowledge, resources, and higher authority. That is why we put the official organization as a center of the model of disaster preparedness management. Finally, the collaboration process between stakeholders often encounter an ineffective communication challenge due to the collaboration process complex nature. So we try to make a simple institutional structure to make communication more effective. And another implication of this paper is to strengthen the importance of the institution's role in transferring the knowledge and proper disaster resilience to stakeholders. Building institutional resilience requires tourism stakeholders to have both short and long-term disaster management plans. I think that's all my presentation for today. Thank you so much. I give the floor to who is I forgot the name, the moderator, Soraya. Yeah, Soraya.
Yeah,
Thank you, Soraya.
Thank you so much, Miss Fitri. Okay, guys. Thank you so much, Miss Fitri, for amazing lecture. So we now have so many new insights for us. Okay, everyone who wants to ask any question, you may use the raise hand feature and introduce yourself with the format, name underscore group or university underscore country, and your question. Okay, guys, you may use the raise hand feature.
There is a question here in the chat box, yeah, from Giovanni Angasta.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Giovanni Angasta. Just ask to Miss Fitri and unmute your microphone.
Yes, Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The question is, I have seen news about a tsunami disaster that
Yeah.
would reach the height of 200 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Will happen in Indonesia,
Mm-hmm.
precisely on the south coast of Java.
Mm-hmm.
What if it really happened? What do you suggest for dealing with the disaster?
Yeah. Thank you, Giovanni. I think it is hard to answer this question since many researchers already mentioned about this potential. Maybe we could say that this is like a landscape hazard that could be a potential for disaster risk. And we know also that Java Island is the most is the province with a high number of population, which is also means that it has a high vulnerability to disaster occurrence. So actually, until now, there is no particular or no technology that could predict when the tsunami will happen. But what we can do is about develop the preparedness and mitigation program. That is why one of the strategy in developing cities in Indonesia right now, especially in Java, is about building a smart city concept, which is one of them. One of the indicator is the community resilience to disaster. So I think it is very important until now to educate the resident especially in the formal education, like the institutional structure that I have been made, that the rule of formal education is very important. We can learn from what Japan has done to strengthen the community resilience, which is a small children already now their region hazard. So they know how to mitigate themselves, how to evacuate, how if the earthquake is happen. So I think what we have to do now is build or develop a curriculum which is focused also on the community resilience in disaster. So then every community in Indonesia or every people in Indonesia will understand about their own hazard and know how to do when the disaster is occurrence. I think like that. Thank you, Giovanni.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay. There is also a question from
Phu Thi Loy
Yeah.
from Vietnam. Okay, for Phu Thi Loy from Vietnam, unmute your microphone, please.
Hi, Professor.
Hi, yeah.
I have questions for you. It's about the poverty and the wealthy. I see some news that deliver that the gap between the poverty and wealthy worldwide has become wider. And through this, because of this pandemic, and because of the quarantine. And what do you think about this? And what should we do to improve this situation?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Phu Thi Loy, for the question. Yes, I think I also agree that through this pandemic, the gap between poverty and wealthy in the worldwide is getting bigger. Yeah, so we can see here that the avoid to the mobility can stop the economic growth, and then this is also give more high level of poverty, especially the local economic level. So what we can do here, I think the role of government is very important here, because we have a very high impact pandemic, which is give impact not only on the health but also on the economic condition. That is why the incentive or a program from government is very important to strengthen the the people in every country. So actually, this is also we know that this is very difficult for developing country to support every people in the country, the government to support every people in the country, and like what the other countries done, like America or Europe, for example. But Indonesia has many programs to strengthen the local entrepreneurship, like give a training for online marketing, and something like movement to buy local entrepreneur product, for example. And this is quite work well, even though the growth of economy is not very high, by at least the economy can move and hire their wealthy. I think like that, Futiloid.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And question from Ria from Philippines. Please unmute your microphone, Ria.
Maria, which one? Oh, Ria.
Yes, Ria G. Alvarez. Please unmute your microphone.
Yes, okay. Hi, Professor. Okay. You said a while ago
Yeah.
that disaster is unpredictable.
I'm sorry,
Already Indonesia.
the voice.
Oh,
The
sorry.
voice is not.
I have a question in chat box. My internet is
Oh.
unstable. I'm sorry, but I put my question in the chat box. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I will read it. Yeah. Ria asking about while ago that disaster is unpredictable, how ready is Indonesia in time of disaster occurrence? Yeah, I think yeah, for honestly, Indonesia already tried to yeah, what I should say, have to try to develop a good disaster preparedness management program. Actually, we already have some like a national regulation which regulate how to mobilize the resource, for example, how to make a disaster institution in every region, for example. But unfortunately, the regulation is still in the national level. So in the regional and local level, the local management has to interpret the regulation and make their own standard about disaster management. And I do believe that this is one of the weaknesses in our preparedness program. So then we try to strengthen these weaknesses by conducting more research about how to strengthen the collaboration between stakeholders to develop a disaster management program. So when you ask about how ready is Indonesia to disaster occurrence, I think I can definitely answer the question, but we try to develop a program that is quite efficient for disaster preparedness management. Thank you, Ria. And for the MC, Soraya.
Yes, Miss. Any one
Please,
person from Muhammad Daifan?
Hi,
Anyone, yeah.
can you hear me well? Sorry, can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Hi, Miss Fitria. I think we met before in ITB, if you can remember. Well, I was working there in the research center. So
Oh,
yeah, I have two questions actually. Quite interesting on the figure that you brought in the presentation, particularly about the impact of COVID-19 to tourism, which what we call now is under tourism. And my question, well, the figure proves that the practice of tourism is kind of unsustainable at the moment. It's shown by the effects of the COVID-19. And my first question is related to that. And what do you think about our tourism practice now after the COVID, and how it's going forward? What we can do better to kind of decrease the vulnerability of tourism sectors, particularly to unpredicted or big hazard or big hazard like COVID-19 and the pandemic. And the second question is, I think the question is more, the answer is more related to what you call as a community resilience. I know this is quite a popular kind of phrase or terms at the moment, and I just like to know what kind of elements that can build the community resilience, particularly in the context of tourism destinations, mitigation management.
Yeah.
That's all the questions.
Okay, thank you for the question, Muhammad Daifan. I'm so sorry that we forgot. You are from Tourism Research Center?
Yes, correct.
Oh, I see. Some of my students have a training program on your institution. Yeah, you still there?
Sorry. Now I'm currently doing my PhD at the moment at the Auckland University of Technology in New Zealand.
Okay, thank you. I think Daifan can answer also this question since we all the same as a doctoral student. Actually, I will answer first the first question. It is about what can we do to increase the vulnerability to the pandemic situation, especially for the tourism sector, since we know that in the future, we believe that we will face another another pandemic situation, since we know that the climate change and other will give impact to this pandemic condition. So I think something that really give us a lesson for this COVID is about it is not good if a sector is only stay or stand on one. It is not good when a region is only depend on one sector, like what happened in Bali. Bali is very depend on tourism sector, and when this pandemic came, Bali is the most impacted region, which is most of the tourism industry, and then shifted enterprises model. So I think this is also important. Give us important lesson to us that it is the tourism sector now have to have another innovative program, not only based on the mobility or travel of people, but also a program that can support the the other needs of the community. Like now that our tourism ministry tried to focus more on creative product, that this is also a part of tourism, which is maybe in the normal condition it's become as like apa oleh-oleh itu apa ya?
Like
Yeah,
a souvenir.
Present.
sorry.
Souvenir.
Yeah, a souvenir for tourist clients give to their family or friends. And now maybe the tourism sector also have to focus on something like this creative industry, which is in the normal condition it become only a supported one in tourism sector, but now it can be the main product in tourism. And also, yeah, we have to be creative. One of my friend in Batam, which is manage a hotel, said that their hotel still can run the operational, since they not only focus on tourists, but also they focus on what they said, a transit officer, yeah, from another region to Indonesia. Then this program can make their industry more stable rather than they focus on tourism. So I think like a concept of diversity and sustainability, that we cannot focus or homogenize the component, but we have to diverse we have to diverse the product, so then we can more stable in this sector. And for the second question is about the element of community resilience. I'm so sorry that I cannot understand. I cannot answer this very well, maybe. But according to my experience in my research, actually I already published also a paper regarding tourism and the pandemic. One of the components that we have to consider about the community resilience is about community resilience in the context of tourism. Yeah, it's about the communication among stakeholders. It is really important to that every stakeholder in the community have a similar knowledge about hazard and also disaster. So then it is more easy to develop the disaster management program, because of the knowledge is the basic in this building the institution, the structure of institution. And also something that we have to consider is about the perceived of risk. Yeah, perceived risk is something that neglected by the management, but this is something that influence the decision of tourists to come to a destination. So once again, communication have an important role to build the proper risk perception. So then every component in the community can strengthen their own behavior to cope with the disaster. I think that all my answer, Daivan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Fitri, one more question from Mikael Mayoya.
Oh yeah, Soraya.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that because of this event is late. It start in at the late time. Yeah, so I have another class also actually. Maybe this is the last question.
Yes, from Michael, the last question.
Okay, which one?
Yeah, for Michael.
In the chat box? No?
No. Please
Okay.
unmute
Hello.
your microphone.
Oh yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
In the
my-
research you presented a while back, you have a proposed institutional collaboration model for DPM.
Yeah.
Is it tested for adaptation purposes or just for implementation only?
Oh yeah. Actually, the model that I propose is a case study in Pangandaran region, which is one of the when we are said that can this model implemented into another community, then we have to understand the characteristic of Pangandaran region community. This is a marine destination which is more on collectivity culture. So then I think in the same region which have characteristic of this collectivity, this kind of model can be applied in any other consideration also.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Miss Fitri, for your presentation.
Yeah.
And all right, guys, we've been through the first lecturing session by Miss Fitri from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. And what do you think, Ruska? What kind of benefit that you got from the presentation?
Yes, I think it was an amazing presentation, Aya, and I have so many new insight and a lot of new point of view. And we hope you guys to keep your spirit and keep focused until the lecturing session is over. Okay, Soraya?
Okay, Ruska, thank you so much, Miss Fitri, Rahma Fitri.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, guys. So we will move to the next agenda. Information session about tourism master program UPI for Mr. Nuseb. For Mr. Nuseb, the time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then first, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, first I would thank to the moderator, Ms. Soraya. Maybe I first share option. Where is I can share it? Okay, which one? This one. Okay. Okay, this is first, secondly, I would like to say hello to all the participants of the Virtual International Summer Program who remain in this program. I hope you all are not tired and bored in this event. Look like you're the big smile and then still strong, to this event. I am request a little time about the 8 minutes to deliver the Master Tourism Program at the UPI, University Pendidikan Indonesia, in Bandung, in Indonesia. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Nuseb Almigo, one of the lecturer at the Tourism Master Program. And then our program, the Tourism Master Program, began to take in students in 2020, but it's a collaboration with universities in Indonesia and other countries. So many university, many industry or company get collaboration with us. What the interesting the tourism program master in UPI? The first, the tourism is the education. As the program is which is the participant in tourism activities travel or certain the place at group, which the main and I'm the getting and the learning experience. So the student can be learning by experience the education. Second, the tourism industry in our program is service and goods needed by those who travel. So student or our collaboration company or university can take the industry. So many collaboration with us, with the industry in Bandung, Indonesia, and others. And the third, the tourism destination. You know, Bandung is many destination and the surrounding about the tourism. So Master of Tourism can take you directly to the destination. And then why our program, the Master of Tourism, very unique. Yeah, this is about the lecturers. Yeah, you can see the website. Our lecturer, the first is Prof. Dr. Eli Maliha. It is a sociology. So this is what we call the various expertise in our program. So many looks like the Prof. Eli is sociology in as a lecturer, and then the Prof. This tourism master, and then Prof. Juju. This is about the performing arts studies, and then we have Dr. Gali Kusuma. This is tourism, yeah, specialist, and then we have Dr. Eri Supri is his associate professor about tourism, and then Dr. Karya, and then Dr. Fina is a psychology. It's psychology because we have tourism, yeah, we know the human, we have tourism behavior, and so on. So, and then the last is Dr. Sita Aisha. And then why is important for us for our master program? This is we have many collaboration with the many countries and many universities. Looks like collaboration is about the reciprocal program, ancient student, and then so many things about education. So the next is I would like to share with you about our video, if you don't mind. Okay. It's, okay. This is our program, yeah, in the tourism program, the Master of Tourism. We have the consumer behavior, research method, and then all the unique, yeah, project. This is our course. So many courses about the tourism in UPI, especially as business of tourism, yeah. And then the technology and tourism digital, and then the entrepreneurship in tourism, and then destination, explanation and development of destination, and then contemporary of definition, and then education of tourism, so like the art, some of it, what is the graduates of the tourism? It's Master of Tourism. Yeah. What the choice? The management, destination, and so on. This is our link here. This is our WhatsApp, and then email. You can take the website and so on. So if you have any question or any something requirement, you can contact us with the website or WhatsApp. You can take note the WhatsApp or email in the master program of tourism. And then I would like to, and the team, tourism master program team are waiting for you. Arrival, a student or collaboration or a reciprocal program, research and all related to the world of tourism. Once again, thank you very much. This is time for me, and then thank you for interesting, for waiting for this program. Thank you. Back to Soraya.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Nuzep, for your information. This information is helpfully for participants who want to continue their education to a higher level. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Nuzep. Okay.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
See you.
See you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Nuzep, for your time. Okay, everyone, we will move to the our last agenda. And this time we would like to have a fun activity for us to listen up after the lecture. Okay, without further ado, Haruska?
Yes, okay. Operator, will you please share the screen?
Staring at a demigod. What can I say except you're welcome for the tides, the sun, the sky.
Okay guys, the name of the game is Choose Your Favorite Animal. Ruska, can you explain about the rules Choose Your Favorite Animal?
Okay, next slide please, operator.
Stone you fire from down below.
Okay, the rules are very simple. Soraya, will you please explain the rules?
Okay, the first participants prepare paper, pen, or color markers. Participants choose the picture you like, and participants draw the animals they like on the prepared paper. And drawing time 1 minute. Repeat 1 minute. Okay.
Okay, and then we will choose one participant to demonstrate the characteristics of the animal that will be guessed by other participants. The other participants guess the picture in the chat box. If the first person who guesses correctly, then he will be the next to demonstrate the characteristics of the animal that he chose. If they succeed in guessing, the participant who chooses his favorite picture must introduce himself and explain the reason for choosing the animal with a unique reason. Okay? Do you guys have any questions for this fun activity before we start? Do you have any questions? Okay. No questions, okay? Okay, so you may all prepare your paper, your pen, your mark, anything that you can draw. Okay. Operator, will you please share the next slide? Okay, so here are the pictures of the animal. There are 2 slides, operator. Will you please show us the next slide? Okay, so you may all draw your favorite animal in these 2 slides. We will give you 1 minute for you to draw your favorite animal, okay? Are you guys ready?
Okay.
Okay, ready? In 3, 2, 1. Okay, you may all draw your favorite animal.
Believe me, it's Maui, breathe it in. I know it's a lot, the hair, the bod. When you're staring at a demigod, What can I say except you're welcome? For the tides, the sun, the sky. Hey, it's okay, you're welcome. I'm just an ordinary demiguy. Hey, what has two thumbs and pulled up the sky? When you were waddling yay high, this guy. When the nights got cold, who stole you fire from down below? You're looking at him, yo. Oh, also I lasso the sun. You're welcome to stretch your days and bring you fun. Also I harness the breeze. You're welcome to fill your sails and shake your trees. So what can I say except you're welcome? For the islands I pulled from the sea. There's no need to pray, it's okay, you're welcome. Ha! I guess it's just my way of being me. You're welcome, you're welcome. Well, come to think of it, kid, honestly, I could go on and on. I could explain every natural phenomenon. The tide, the grass, the ground. Oh, that was Maui just messing around. I killed an eel, I buried its guts. Sprouted a tree, now you got coconuts. What's the lesson? What does it take away? Don't mess with Maui when he's on a breakaway. And the tapestry here in my skin is a map of the...
Okay, have you all draw your favorite animal? Yes, okay. So, Soraya?
So first I will choose.
Okay, so you can choose a random person, Soraya.
Okay.
Sorry, I would like to remind all of the participants to activate your camera because we would like you to demonstrate your favorite animal, okay?
Okay. I will choose Audrey Primus. Audrey Primus.
Audrey. Okay,
Hello, Audrey.
They say I throw my heart around, and you can be my lover, girl.
Can we hear you, Audrey?
Audrey? Hello. Okay.
Maybe another person?
Okay. Wait. Maisara. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Maisara.
Okay, my
You can
favorite
demonstrate
animal.
You
can demonstrate
demonstrate.
first. Then you show us what is your drawing, okay?
This one I cannot drawing, so I show the tiger. I choose tiger.
You can demonstrate first.
Demonstrate.
Oh, can you see that?
Yeah, Maisara, you can demonstrate first your. You can demonstrate your favorite animal.
I would like to choose tiger.
No, you can demonstrate your drawing to all the other participants.
You either can make the animal's noise or you can move just like animal, so the other participants can guess.
Yes.
All right, raw tiger.
Okay. Tiger. Okay, yeah, tiger.
Yeah, tiger.
Thank you. Gianella.
So everyone, let us make this clear for this game. You will first demonstrate your favorite animal that you draw on your paper. Either you can act it out or you can make the animal's noise, okay? So, Soraya, who's the next person?
Tran Kenny from Gili Trawangan.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
My animal is
No.
Demonstrate
very fast.
You can demonstrate.
Can I tell its characteristic?
Oh yeah, you can tell the characteristics.
Yes. Okay.
This animal is very fast.
Okay, fast.
Okay.
Then, or you can make the
funny.
sound.
It's Bunny, Catherine Chung. Catherine Chung guessed it right. It's a bunny.
Catherine. Catherine, you answered bunny. Okay, is that correct, Tran?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Tran, will you introduce yourself and tell why you choose this your favorite animal with the unique reason?
I'm Trần Kenny An. I'm from Nha Trang University. I live in Vietnam. My favorite animal is rabbit because I think rabbit is a very cute animal. It's very adorable. So I want to have a rabbit as a pet sometimes in the near future.
Okay.
Yes, that's all.
Great. Who doesn't love bunny anyways, right? Okay. So
I will choose Nur Adila from Komodo Island. Hello, Nur Adila.
Hello.
Okay, will you demonstrate us what's your favorite animal? Either you can act it out.
Of the animals that I choose sounds like meow.
What? Can you repeat?
Meow.
Meow. Okay. Can anyone guess? It is a very easy demonstration.
Everyone gets it right.
Shark? Really? Shark? Okay, so I see Felicia N. You answered cat. Is that correct? Nur Adila?
Yes. Cat.
Okay, show us your drawing.
Wait a minute.
Okay. Oh, what a cute drawing.
Okay, Nur Adila, so will you introduce yourself and tell why you choose this your favorite animal with unique reason?
My name is Nur Adila and I am from University Malaysia Terengganu. I choose cat because I love cat very much. I have 5 cats in my home now. Yeah, I just love cats. That's why I chose it.
Okay, thank you so much, Nur Adila.
Thank you, Nur Adila. Okay, so who's next, Soraya? May I choose? May I choose the next person, Soraya?
Wait. Yanela Blanco.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. My favorite animal.
Your animal? Yeah. Demonstrate first. Okay.
Okay. Is quite a small relative, actually. You're gonna have it at home as a pet.
Can you make the noise? Does it have a noise?
But it would be so easy if I make the noise.
Oh, or you can.
It has fur. It's really soft, really adorable. It's a cute.
It's a cute animal.
Yeah, it's a cute animal. I read on the chat that a lot of people have them
answered
house. Yeah, as pets. So.
Okay, so it seems like everyone answered cat. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay, another cat answer. So, Gianella, will you introduce us yourself and why did you pick cat as your favorite animal?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Gianella. I'm from Peru. I'm from National Agrarian University. I study fisheries engineering, and I chose cat because they are so cute, so adorable. I like them because they are very independent. And I actually have cats at home too. I like to rescue them from the street. They are foster cats, so I don't know. I just love cats. They are so cute.
Okay, thank you, Janela.
Thank you.
Okay, so who's next?
The next is Khairul Irsad Ismail.
Okay, is Khairul here? Hello.
Hi, hello, good evening. So I just give the hint for the animals that I drew. So it has whiskers and it eats a lot and sleep a lot, just like me.
What? Just like you? You sleep a lot.
I sleep a lot and eat a lot. So the animals is just like.
Maybe you can make the sound of the animal. Make any sound.
Sounds like meow. I think that's the sound of the animal.
Okay, so can anyone guess? It's an easy one.
Actually.
Obviously. Of course, the answer
can you
is.
Move like that animal? I cannot move like that animal.
Yeah, can you move like the animal?
Oh,
please show us your move.
Don't torture me, guys.
Of course not. Come on.
How does cat move?
Soraya, teach Khairul. Soraya, teach Khairul how to move like a cat.
I think Soraya has to demonstrate to me, and then I can follow.
Yeah, like that.
So,
okay, so the answer is cat.
Yes, it's a cat.
Can you show us your drawing? Oh.
So can you see?
Yeah, I can see it. It's so cute. Okay, thank you, Khairul.
Thank you.
Thank you for your demonstration. Okay, so who's next, Soraya?
Wait.
Maybe another boy?
Wait. Zhang Weinya?
Zhang Weinya, where are you?
Where are you? Okay, next. Poti Miley. Favorite animal, Poti Miley?
Okay, yes. So my animal is.
You can demonstrate.
You can demonstrate first.
Okay, so my animal is an animal that like carrots.
Okay.
Really like carrots.
Does it have a sound? Does the animal make any sound?
I don't know how to make this sound.
Or you can move like the animal.
Tiger? No, it's no tiger.
Dolphin? Is it dolphin?
No, it's like carrots. It likes carrots a lot.
It likes carrots.
Yes.
Is it a bunny?
Bunny? Yes.
Yes, that's correct. So
absolutely correct. So
will you
can
show
you
us
see
your
my
drawing?
painting? Just wait a minute. My painting.
Okay, your job.
Okay, will you introduce yourself and tell us the reason why you chose bunny as your favorite animal?
Okay, so let me introduce myself first. My name is Molly, and I'm studying at Nha Trang University in Vietnam. And the reasons I chose bunny is that it's so cute, and I like its feather. It's white, and it makes me cozy and comfortable when I see it. That's the reason.
Okay, thank you, Miley.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miley.
So much. The next, Michael Bagay.
Where are you, Michael Bagay?
Michael Bagay. Can you
Hello,
demonstrate
can you
your
hear me?
favorite animal? Yes,
we can hear you.
Can hear you.
So my favorite animal would love to swim.
Swim, okay. And then, does the animal make any sound?
Yes, but I don't know how to mimic his sound.
Can you give us any more hints?
Usually it eats a lot of fish. I think somebody have got the correct answer in the chat box.
Okay, what is it?
It's a shark.
Okay, it's a shark. Okay, Michael, can you introduce us yourself?
My name is Michael Bagay, a student of Quirino State University from the Philippines. I'm an education student actually.
Okay, can you tell us why did you pick shark as your favorite animal?
I picked shark as my favorite animal because you know the importance of shark in the marine ecosystem. It you know act as on the what do you call it again? I forget the term. It controls the growth of some animals in order to avoid overpopulation of certain animals in the ocean, like that.
Okay, Michael, we have a special request for you.
Yes.
Can you sing Baby Shark?
No.
Please, please, can you Baby Shark?
No, I don't
Yes,
really
please.
sing.
Okay.
Can we do it all?
Maybe you can dance. Do the movements.
I think I can request all the participants to do the baby shark.
Okay,
Please.
so do you want to? Yeah, okay. Let's do Baby Shark together.
Ano na yun?
Who wants to sing? Michael, can you sing song? You will be the leader. Okay.
Can I request Mr. Michael Moyoyo from QSU also?
Ala! No, I don't know the lyrics. Okay. If you know the lyrics, let's sing Baby Shark.
Okay, let's sing.
Baby Shark, do 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 do. Baby Shark. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
Where are you?
Let's dance. Michael, you can lead us.
Noreen, can you
Can sing.
unmute your microphone?
Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do do do.
Baby Shark.
Baby shark.
Yummy Shark.
Yeah. Yay!
Let's dance.
Let's dance.
Yummy Shark.
Yay! Okay, finish.
Okay. Thank you all for your enthusiasm for this game. We really hope you enjoy today's event game. Okay, so Soraya. Soraya, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Closing.
Yeah.
Okay. Please attention. Wait. Okay, don't leave off Zoom because any information for tomorrow, there will be a show up yell yell. You know show up yell yell, guys? Oh, yes, it was fun, guys. Show up yell yell tomorrow. Okay, all the participants, please prepare the yell yell that will be displayed tomorrow. Don't forget to show up yell yell, guys, tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for the participants who attended today's summer program day 5 with me and Ruska. Okay. My name is Soraya and my partner
Ruska.
The host of the event. For the deepest of our hearts, we do apologize if there are any mistakes during the event. Okay, once again, thank you very much for your kind attention. Please
stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sane. See you tomorrow, everyone.
See you on Monday.
Oh,
yeah, see you on Monday.
Okay. Sorry.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Yeah.
Can you give me the attendance link, please?
Oh, yeah, okay.
See you on Monday.
Oh, I
See you on
see it.
Monday.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Soraya and Ruska.
Yes, bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.